welcome to the fifth episode of Flyby Films. Yes, I think we've made it to episode 5 already. That's pretty incredible. Ah, well, I'm glad you're listening, and my name is Jamison Barsotti, and this is a slightly different voice than normally opens our podcasts, but that's because my friend Blake Collier has quietly quit this podcast and he's taken his family with him to I don't know where. Uh, no, I'm just kidding.
The desert.
the desert. No, Blake is right here with me. He's not quietly quitting the podcast, so no need to worry about that.
No, I never would quietly quit. If I quit, it's going to be loud and boisterous.
I do think, although if we're going by the real definition of quiet quitting, I think we started this podcast by quiet quitting it because it just means low effort, which is our whole podcast
Yeah.
philosophy. So,
Well,
uh,
but didn't you try to explain to me that quiet quitting is actually just doing 100%,
sure,
not
sure.
150? So we're
Yeah.
actually putting in normal amounts of effort for
Okay.
the job.
Yeah. Well, if the job is low effort, then yeah, I'm all for doing 100% of low effort.
Hey, me too.
Yeah. So how are you, Blake?
I'm glad we got that out of the way. I'm good. It was a short week at work. Got one more day
Nice.
because, as our listeners know, this is a Thursday night. We always record. Well, always
Always.
being a relative term, record on Thursday night. Remember that.
Yeah, there will be a quiz eventually, and the listeners who get the most points will get a lot of freebies. Um,
Yeah. We don't know what of, but freebies.
yeah. So you had a short week at work. Um, did you? That's because of the holiday, Labor Day. What did you do on Labor
Yeah.
Day?
What did I do on Labor Day? Let's see. What did I do? I went to the coffee shop for the morning and wrote because that's what I do in my free time. And then I came home and took care of my son and hung out with my wife. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Very low key.
Exciting. I
Yeah.
know.
That, I mean, that's better than me. I worked that day. And
Yeah.
not because I don't,
Yeah, it was real
yeah, not
sad.
because I don't get holidays off, because I literally forgot to ask for it off. I just didn't think that Labor Day was a thing that happened anymore. I was like, oh, didn't we already have
Well,
that
I didn't.
last year?
I mean, most people don't even know what Labor Day is about, so it might as well not be a holiday.
This is true. Are you telling me it's not about like grilling hot dogs and
I'm telling you, it's about going into labor.
oh,
It's a holiday for women
yes.
and only women.
Yes. That's what I told my wife,
Yeah.
who is entering the third trimester right now. So, her
Oh
her
man, God, it's getting so close.
yeah, her Labor Day is coming up. Um,
So many things to tell you, Jameson. So many things.
I know everyone keeps saying that, but I just kind of feel like I don't know anything going into this. But yeah,
Get used to it.
this is what I've heard. You just don't
Yep.
know. Which okay, fine. I guess that's easy for me
It's,
because that means I just don't have to do anything right now. I'll learn on the fly. So I'm
it's
great with that.
no matter. I read I read bits and pieces of books. It still didn't prepare me.
Those
Nope.
those bits and pieces
It's a
didn't
whole
prepare
thing.
you.
I mean, it's not like I can sit down and just read a whole book on parenting. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no,
No one does
I'm
that.
not. you know who does that? My wife does that, and she gives me the books,
My wife does too.
and she says, read them, and then I start, and I'm like, okay, what parts of this book do you want me to read? And that's what I literally said to her, and she like looked at me quizzically and was like, what? I want you to read it. And I was like, I don't think I have the energy. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it is. I just feel like it takes a superpower to read these books. But uh I
Yeah.
mean, I do think my wife has a
Yeah.
superpower. So, I guess that's what I'm saying.
My wife read more than I did. That's for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I have a whole stack of books that I need to attempt and pull kernels of truth from. So I will be doing that
Cool.
in the near future. Uh, yeah,
You should also read Ecclesiastes. It helps.
I I have that book is book is pretty burned into my mind.
As it should be.
Yeah. So today on the podcast we have some exciting things. To remind the listeners, we are talking about the movie Be Kind, Rewind. And
Mm-hmm.
we have two articles that we're going to be discussing. One of them was written by half of this podcast. That was Blake over there. He's the author.
It's actually Jamison playing Blake.
Oh, yeah. I forget that that's the way things go. Although,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't even remember writing it. That's how in character I was. And then we have another article about the phenomenon of hauntology and hauntology in
Yeah.
movies and music and how it's kind of showing up in the modern world. So we'll get to that. That'll be really exciting. We also are going to have our first podcast guests. So I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Man, that's gonna be super exciting.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me wonder: should we even cut the Should we even continue talking, or should we just like cut this short and like actually have our guests?
Uh, well, do you have anything else to talk about? I mean, I, we
Well,
talked about
I
our.
mean, I guess we could. I guess we could. I mean, we could give our exciting news at the end of the podcast,
Oh yeah,
like about what's coming up.
yeah. We have some exciting news.
But I mean, our guests are way cooler than we are, anyways.
I mean, my whole plan is to get them on, and then have them back again, and then eventually actually give them the podcast. That's how.
I think that's
That's the
ideal.
low effort long con. So, uh,
Oh man, hey, I'm down.
yeah.
I mean, that is really putting 125% into this,
What
and I
you
like
got
it.
to put 125 in so you can put 0 later, right? That's how it goes.
Oh, it's like a financial
Oh,
thing. I like it.
it's pyramid scheme podcasting. So, yeah,
Beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful.
um, yeah. I think our guests are very exciting. So, I say we get to them and we get to talking about the movie, and yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right.
Sounds good. All right, let's take a short break. We'll be right back because we got to wrangle the guests like sheepdog.
Yeah,
Sheepdogs.
yeah. We got to wrangle them.
Not just one. There's two of us. We got to wrangle them. Okay, so we'll be back.
Yeah, what do you want? Don't laugh, Arlene. I ain't got time for that shit.
All right, goodbye.
Goodbye. Yeah. She laughed. Did you hear her laughing?
Yeah, I heard her laughing.
She laughs. Have I got time for that crap of hers?
I guess apparently
All she
not.
does is she laughs. Did you see her laugh?
She's like a prank caller. Well, maybe she laughed the way you answered the
Now,
phone.
what in the hell does she want to tell me? and I have got my pajamas on my robe. I've got to get dressed and everything. And to get things together, I'm going to forget.
Maybe she was just calling to say good morning.
Bullshit. She calls and she goes, laughing. Takes all that time of mine that I have to do. And I'm not even.
All right.
Welcome back. We finally wrangled the guests. I would like to introduce my guest, who is currently in my house. I feel really special to have this person in my house, and that she has not left this house, and that she has not left me. This is my wife, Melissa, or as some of my friends and I often nickname her, Melly Mel, after the rapper from the 80s.
Of course.
Yes, of course.
I need you to know that I was this many minutes old when I realized that rapper was from the 80s.
That's funny. See, you learn something new every day. Who's your guest, Jamison?
Yeah, well, similar to you, the guest is coming from within the house. And if you heard that laugh, that was my lovely wife, Kira, who I don't have a rapper nickname for her, but
Unfortunately.
Kira K, that's her middle name. She's pretty cool.
That's me.
She also hasn't left the house, which is good. But yeah. Kind of additionally, we also get my unborn child, who is
Oh, that's true.
also
Yeah.
sitting with my wife. So
Always present.
bonus guest.
If you listen really, really closely, listeners, you can hear Melissa and I's son, Seamus, sleeping in the other room.
Nice. Does Seamus snore?
He doesn't
No, he
know.
just wiggles.
He's a wiggler.
And every once in a while he'll scream out.
Yeah, he'll scream
And
out.
then turn over and be fine.
Yep.
But it's jarring when
is.
it happens.
Yeah, it's kind of like Paranormal Activity.
It
Exactly.
really, yeah.
The first few times it happened, too, it was like, it's literally like waking up and thinking someone has entered the house. It's terrifying.
And then you look at the screen and he's just asleep. And
Yeah.
you're like, well, that was anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Does he ever get up close to the screen and then like when you look at it, you're like, there's a giant face.
No, but his eyes do show up kind of like cat eyes.
Yeah.
If he's turned on his back, because the camera's from above, and so he has to be on his back, and if his eyes are open, you can see him shining in the camera.
Yeah, and he still hasn't figured out that it exists, and
Yeah.
it's far enough away from his crib that, yeah.
And we're gonna make that last as long as possible. This is gonna be the Truman Show,
Yeah.
Part 2.
Nice. Okay, so our wives promised 5 minutes, so I don't want to take up that much more time of their 5 minutes. But
Yeah, you've got 2 minutes left.
I know, and we haven't even talked about the movie. We haven't even mentioned the movie.
Oh gosh.
So we brought them on because they both watched this week's movie with us, which this week's movie was Be Kind, Rewind, which was directed by Michel Gondry, and it stars Mos Def, or actually Yasin Bey, right? That's how he goes now, and Jack Black. And Blake, do you want to set up kind of the plot of the movie?
Yeah, so the plot of the movie is basically Mos Def and Danny Glover own a small little independent video store. Is it Brooklyn?
No, it's New Jersey.
No.
New Jersey, that's right.
Yeah.
Passaic. That's right.
Sick, yeah.
It's so sad. I can't remember that. Anyways, so they own a little video shop, all VHS, and Jack Black is Mos Def's friend, Jerry, and Jerry works at I guess like a basically a mechanic shop that's right next to a like radio tower of sorts, and he decides to destroy the radio tower and gets electrified in the process, or magnetized in the process. And he comes into the shop one day and he erases all of the VHS tapes. And this struggling store is still trying to survive, and they're under the gun for getting closed down. And at the end of the day, the customers keep coming in. They're like, I want to see this movie. And so Mos Def and Jack Black end up having to recreate these movies, including the Ghostbusters, which is their first one, 2001 Space Odyssey, a bunch of classic films. And they go through this whole process, and it culminates in getting shut down by the big movie companies for, copyright infringement. So they decide to make
Specifically,
their own movie.
yeah, specifically Sigourney Weaver. Yeah.
Who plays the big exec. They get shut down, but they decide to make their own movie about Fats Waller, who is a local hero, or supposed local hero, and the community comes together at the end. But I think my wife would rather talk about how she appreciated the ending of the movie. Go for it.
That would be a very brief conversation, as I did not appreciate the ending.
But why?
Because it's awful.
Melissa,
Truly awful.
this is the most drama we've had on the podcast. I am so excited to learn more about why it's so awful.
So, I mean, I live in a world that's really foul. And so I watch films that I feel socially obligated to watch. Because like documentaries, things that happen, things that make me more aware of how awful elements of our world is. And I watch films that make me happy. Like those are my genres. And this film was neither. Because the ending is inconclusive. I don't want, like, you can imagine the best version of how this ended. I want a bow. And so after what I endured throughout the film, for it to have been ended in such a manner that my husband would know how much I would hate, and that he looked at me with any degree of shock at my dismay, was just staggering. The whole thing was just terrible.
That's wonderful. I love that review. I mean, part of me is like, I feel like the movie definitely had its bow tying stacked against it, because one thing I'm thinking of is how this, like, it came out in like 2004, right? Something around that time.
2008.
2008. Whoa, even later.
I don't know if y'all remember this, but the recession happened.
It was a whole
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
So, good times.
This was also when there was only like, I don't know, a handful of blockbusters, and this store was behind the stores that were already behind the times. And so there wasn't really anything to go but down for, a store like that. So I kind of feel for that, but I do see how at one end it really did try to kind of be light and fun and fluffy with that in the background, which gives you this tension that doesn't allow for anything nice or anything, realistic. So
What about you, Kara?
Oh, what about me?
Yeah.
So the first time I watched it was when it came out, and I was still in high school at the time, and I was a lot less critical of the things I watched. So watching it again, I also think, over 10 years have gone by, and think things are a little cringy about it now that maybe weren't at the time. Um, But all that said, I still loved watching them recreate these movies. Like that to me is why I ended up buying this movie when it came out on DVD and why we had it. Um it's just like the inventiveness and creativity, and it ended up creating this whole like subculture on YouTube of sweeted films, which I thought was amazing. And my little brother at the time was really into filmmaking, and he he and his friends would make their own movies, and so they were really into it from like the practical effects standpoint, and all that. And it's funny, Melissa, your reaction to the end. I have a similar reaction of distaste, but I felt like it was too happy and cheerful. Like I don't like endings that are like, you know, even though it does end ambiguously, like we're not really sure how this is all going to work out in the end for the store itself, but like having everyone come together and, be be cheery and be like this was great doesn't work for me anymore, and it really didn't at the time, but again, the charm of the film is playing on all this nostalgia and this kind of childlike creativity, which still shows through, I think. So I still enjoyed it for that.
Okay, and I can give you that. Like, I would say that those are the parts of the film that I hated the least. And I, nay, even enjoyed the most. Um, I think that even what you're saying, like, it was this, the ending was this distorted. Why are all these people so happy? Like, this is not ending well. Like, there's no resolution here. And if this was the resolution, this is non-reality based. So, like, even though I like bows, I like that degree of a crowd through the window. I was like, why did we watch this on the inside of the building? Like, who does this? This is not real. And it's not happy. So it was both non-reality based and not happy. Anyway, um, but I enjoyed the, like, I would say those are the spaces that I cringe the least.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's always about awkwardness for you.
Awkwardness for me is also a hallmark of a film I'm going to not enjoy. So, like, Meet the Parents is my version of a suspense film, because knowing someone is about to do something embarrassing or uncomfortable. So the actual filming parts, and I was reflecting on it as you were saying this, was it's like, okay, the actual filming parts was not uncomfortable. That was enjoyable and funny. But when they got out of character or out of those elements and started interacting, I was just terribly uncomfortable most of the time.
Yeah, I I'm glad Kira brought up like the sweeted idea, because I feel like that is the thing that this film is probably remembered for. I think I was reading how in like 2018 they had a sweeted film festival. So 10 years after it, much more recently. And I do even remember feeling the first time I watched this, and I still kind of felt that when I watched it this time too, was they didn't spend enough time with the movies, the sweeted movies. I Because that really was kind of the heart of the movie and where a lot of the inventiveness came from. And I think if you've seen Michel Gondry's other films too, like The Science of Sleep and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, you see that he's really into these inventive, practical effect hacks and things like that. And if you watch some of his, I think he's also very famous for that White Stripes video, Fell in Love with a Girl, where it's all Legos. And that's really fun. Um, so yeah, I could see that. I also remember feeling like the characters are all kind of dumb. Um, and it's a weird awkward balance where they're not 100% dumb in kind of a dumb funny sort of way, but they're just kind of weird dumb, which also makes it kind of cringy and awkward. So I kind of see that too.
Yeah, I remember even the first time I watched it, really not buying how naive Mos Def's character was. Like, it made no sense then, and it definitely makes no sense now. I don't understand that choice.
Matter of fact, the only person I can think of that I might be able to avoid that. Well, I mean, Danny Glover could technically avoid that, but that's because he's hardly in the movie. But the other person I would say is Alma. Uh, she kind of comes off being her own person more than anyone else in the movie. Um,
She has the most business savvy too of any of
exactly.
them.
She's the reason why it works in the end. So, yeah. Or doesn't work, depending on how you read the end. Wah, wah, wah.
It didn't work.
No, in reality, it did not work.
I mean, he had already sold
West
out,
Coast Video
so-
always wins.
Yeah. And
I
all the
remember that.
all the Sweden movies got crushed,
Yep.
steamrolled.
Under the weight of patriarchy and capitalism.
Delivered by Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel like that itself is like a trope. Sigourney Weaver showing up in the third act to just lay, kick ass or destroy people or whatever. What oh, Cabin in the Woods. She does that in that as well. So, yeah. I don't know. It's always great to see her.
So is this the most torture we're gonna put our wives through?
I think they were great sports. You guys lifted our podcast to a whole nother level. So,
And you lasted a whole nearly 17 minutes.
I know.
So I owe y'all.
We got 12 extra minutes out of y'all.
Yeah. The first 5 were all that I signed up for. So you're actually required to cut out anything after that mark.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
It's just going to be Melissa's review of how terrible the movie was, sliced in between our podcast without any lead up or any end.
There was a part that I really loved, that older man who was like, this is how you spin the films to make it look old. And
Oh yeah.
that when he hung the strings, like I got a little weepy just because I like appreciated the thoughtfulness and intention around that and the creativity in it. Anyway.
He also played Sigourney Weaver in Ghostbusters Sweden.
Yes.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Oh yeah.
Was that the same guy?
Yeah.
That's where I got confused.
Yeah. He worked at the mechanic shop with there's also like
that was the same guy.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a different community member because that was later in the film.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like the movie had some missing components in that way. Some things that were edited out that like glued the community together, because you get that character and you kind of see him a couple times, but you don't really get his name, even though they mention him like you're supposed to know him. So,
do you think that we got the Sweded version of this film?
potentially, maybe we could get Michel Gondry on the podcast and have him explain what the director's cut is supposed to look like.
I'm not gonna lie, I would like to see the director's cut of this movie. Apparently, if you stay long enough after the credits roll, you do see the website where you can watch all the Sweded films that Jack Black and Mos Def make. I don't know if the website's still up, but I did notice that. Apparently, they did do enough of them to make it worth having a website.
We should check if the website's still up and then put it in the show notes.
Yep. We'll do that.
All right. Well,
And if nothing else, YouTube is a trove for Swedish films.
Yeah. Amen to that. YouTube, who uses that?
TikTok is a trove for.
See, my wife has already lost interest. She's looking at her phone. So
I'm looking up to see if you can still have access, but I realized that it would be a really lengthy, awkward pause if we waited. So I'll probably leave here and perhaps go take care of the back porch for a minute.
that usually signals the end of the interview.
Well,
and see if I can find these sweeted films, because I would like. Sometimes it was just the reel where you saw and we made these 40 movies in 72 minutes.
Yep,
that'd be great. Yeah, if you find them, please let us know.
Oh, I will. And it'll make me feel productive.
Yep.
After our time together.
And then you have to do work.
Or go to bed. One or the other. Definitely one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I want to thank again our wives for coming on. Thank you, Melissa.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ciara.
Thank you, Ciara.
No problem. It was fun.
Can't say I've never been on a podcast before.
All right, so we're back. Although to the listeners, we never left. Oh, hey, Melissa, what's up?
I just came back briefly to let you know that it appears that the Be Kind Rewind website has been rerouted to Kind Granola Bars. You get a redirect. I'm going to see if there's some other format, but I was just exceptionally sad at that state of affairs.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That is sad.
This
Granola
segment
bars
was brought to you by Kind Granola Bars.
Well, okay, yeah. I'm not going to be down on Kind Granola Bars. If they want to pay us money for that segment, then
yeah, they should.
Yeah. Or just give us
tomorrow.
Or just give us some granola bars.
Hey, I'd take that.
I would take granola bars.
I know Seamus would.
Yeah. Although these ones, I think the Kind granola bars are kind of tough, or at least very chewy, right? I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. It's been a while since I've had one.
Yeah. Not saying your son can't handle that. I was thinking more for myself.
He's a real tough cookie, that one.
Yeah.
So,
all right, Blake. Yeah. So what did you think of the movie?
I love it. I unabashedly love it. All of the flaws, like even the ending, like I get it. Like it's not realistic. It's not even happy or unhappy for that matter. I get all the critiques. I just can't help it. I love this film.
Yeah, it's charming, and it's so charming, and everything about it exudes charm. I do, for as awkward as Mos Def and Jack Black are, they're still lovable,
Oh yeah.
And I think sometimes I wish that it would either fully commit to, kind of a dumb sense of humor or something else, but it's still very, very charming.
Yeah, there's an element of the characters that needed a little bit more of something, and they either needed to go more Dumb and Dumber or they needed to go more serious. I'm not sure you could get that out of Jack Black, but I've never actually seen Jack Black act like in a quote unquote serious role. He's always kind of just Jack Black.
Yeah, that is actually an interesting point.
Even The Holiday, he's still Jack Black.
Well, okay, I feel like there's a couple bit parts he was in, right? This is an aside.
Well, no, this is key. We're unlocking the film. It's like an onion. We're pulling back the layers.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to look up something for a second and see if I can. I feel like he's in some really tense thriller where.
Enemy of the State?
Is he an Enemy of the State?
He's one of the tech guys.
Is he Jack Black in that, or is he like
He's
something
basically
else?
just background.
Oh, he's also in The Jackal,
I
the
completely forgot about that.
1997 film with Bruce Willis and Richard Gere.
Yeah, I recall the film. I mean, I recall little about the film, but I do recall it was a film.
Yeah, I recall that Jack Black was in that movie, and I think he plays some sort of victim or something or another. I think he has to be scared.
Huh,
And
that makes sense.
I don't know for sure. These are old memories of me watching something on TV.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah,
I've
so
seen Mos Def be serious.
yes.
I mean, speaking of Bruce Willis, 16 blocks.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. Is it good?
But, I mean, it's fine. It's a good action movie.
All right.
But, I mean, I actually enjoy the chemistry between Bruce Willis and Mos Def. I think they have good chemistry.
I like
So,
Mos Def as an actor. I think
yeah.
he's in everything I've seen with him, he's very
Hmm.
likable.
I had a bad experience. You
Oh,
remember where that was from?
no. I thought you were
The,
going to tell me an actual bad experience.
no, the Italian Job.
Oh, yeah, yeah. The new one, right?
Hmm.
With, well, yeah, I don't think Mos Def was born when the old one came out.
No.
Um,
Or if
yeah,
he was super young.
yeah. I mean, he could have been a baby in that movie.
Maybe?
I imagine a baby would have a bad experience in
Yeah.
the Italian Job.
The original one, yeah, for sure. Especially if you're a baby and you're trying to get a nap.
Yeah, I mean, with all that heistiness going on around.
But do you remember why he said that in the new one?
No, it's been. I haven't seen that in over 10 years.
Is it bad that every time I hear someone say it's been, I always think 1 week since you looked at me?
Yes,
No, no,
that is bad, Blake.
no, he's pulled outside of Ed Norton's house, and Ed Norton has two big dogs, and they're like Mark Wahlberg and Charlize Theron and whoever else is talking in the mics. They're like, "Why don't you like dogs?" Blah blah blah, and Mos Def is like, "I had a bad experience." That's why he won't go up to the door or to the
I
gate.
I get that. Have you ever had a
Yeah.
bad experience with dogs?
No, but my dad has.
Hmm.
He got bit by a uh, what's the type that is known for being mean?
Pit bulls?
Pit bull. He got bit by a pit bull.
And not the rapper. He
No,
wasn't he
no,
wasn't bit by
that would have been
Pitbull.
hilarious. No, he got bit by an actual pit bull, and because my dad suffers no fools, the only thing he had on him at the time was a hammer because he was a handyman,
Oof.
and that was the only way he could get the dog off of him. The dog was fine. The dog was fine. It did not get put down. Any of that stuff. So any of you pet lovers out there, the dog, I'm sure lived a fine life after he nearly ate my dad.
Dogs? Yeah, dogs are scary. I once had a bad experience with dogs. I was in Arco, Idaho. Uh, Kira and I had been traveling, and we stopped at a campsite near Arco, Idaho, because we wanted to go to Craters of the Moon, which is this national monument of just a bunch of lava fields and lava rocks, and it
Mm-hmm.
looks like you're on Mars or something, or the moon. It's really awesome and highly recommended. But I woke up early the day we were going to go, and I went on a run. And Arco, Idaho is just a very small town with lots of dogs running around and no gates around because it's very rural, very small. And I was running down a road, and a whole pack of dogs came at me, and they. Have you ever seen the show Patriot on
Yes. I mean,
Amazon?
I've seen like 3 or 4 episodes. Yes.
There's this one bit that is in my mind where uh, they're teaching the main character. So the main character is the secret agent, and they're teaching him how to deal with dogs. And they're like, "Oh, just think of a dog as a person that's half your size. And yeah, maybe they can do some damage to you, but you can certainly kill them. So like, don't ever be afraid of dogs." And I think that whenever I'm running and I see one dog, but this was this was like
This is
5 dogs, and I was like, "There's no way I could take on 5 dogs."
yeah.
Um, and they came up to me, and one of them like bit my shirt and was really, really aggressive. And eventually, I was able to kind of like separate myself from the group, but that shirt, I still have like bite holes in it, and
Dang.
it was definitely the creepiest or scariest experience that I've ever had with dogs. So
I have so whenever you started saying that, I did remember I did get chased by a dog on a run early in the morning one time.
ugh.
Yeah, I was with a friend of mine, and we both had to like turn around and start like yelling at it and whatnot because and the owner was at the house like down the block trying to get it to come back, blah blah blah, and
Oh
eventually
man.
it just stopped running after us. But yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah, when you start to kind of focus on those mouths and
Yeah,
see those teeth, it you start to realize like, oh, this could actually be injurious. Like
exactly. Yeah.
exactly. So anyway,
So yes, Mos Def is exactly correct.
yes, I've had a bad experience. I understand Mos Def in the
Yeah.
Italian Job, his whole stuff.
So
But
bringing it back around, Mos Def can be serious,
yes.
and Jack Black, I'm not sure he can. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. It needed to go one way or the other. I feel like they probably would have done better if it gone more the Dumb and Dumber route, where they just are lovable idiots. But I also don't want to go too far that way because I think this movie has stuff on its mind, and sometimes the lovable idiots kind of gets in the way of trying to get at a bigger bigger commentary. Um, because as much as I love Dumb and Dumber, it doesn't have a whole lot on its mind.
Dumb, Dumb and Dumber has zero on its mind, and it's a wonderful film. It's a wonderful film, but yeah, you just
Yeah,
don't. You're you're not gonna, you know, read discourse on Dumb and Dumber
no.
that's going to give any sort of, I guess, value to your life. Maybe, maybe you'll read about how it fit into the historical landscape, but it's not going to be
Mhm.
about Dumb and Dumber. It's going to be about the surrounding things. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
But
So
yeah,
yeah, but
this movie had more on its mind
yeah.
for sure.
And so part of me wonders, maybe just different casting or something like that to either give it more heft or less, depending on which way what they wanted to go with it. I mean, there's a world in which they literally just take out the whole storyline of the video store. There's plenty of movies that have no like realistic like consequence for small businesses. Like they just exist and they continue to exist for some reason, even though there's no way they continue to exist in that landscape. They could have just done that and made the big deal like Danny Glover being pissed at Mos Def when he came back or something from a trip. Yeah. I can't hear you for some reason.
Because I was muted.
Oh, there we go.
I forgot to hit the button. Um, yeah, as I was watching it, I was just thinking how this business had lasted this long.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole scheme of movie rentals was you could rent this movie for $1, and I was seeing like, I don't know, 10 people come in throughout the day,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like that's a generous amount.
Yeah.
So like $10 a day for a shop, how do you even pay rent
Yeah.
on something like that? Let
Because even
alone
if you have those
utilities.
same 10 people every day for a month, you're looking at what? $10 times 30, $300. There's no way that's going to cover rent. Even if
Nope.
he owned the building, there's no way that's going to cover electricity. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's there's enough there where it's already unrealistic enough, but I feel like they could have just dropped like maybe the demise of the business or the building angle and just made it about I mean, there's a world in which even like one of my favorite part of the reason why I like the movie and why I like the ending to some extent is it's about creating a community within that neighborhood. It's like
Hmm.
coalescing around it doesn't even matter it's the video store. It's just the neighborhood coalescing and becoming what it truly could be. Um, and I like that. That is hopeful in my mind, because I think that's missing in a lot of ways from our day and age. Is this idea of like a coalesced community in all these different parts of the world, and so um, there's plenty of ways you could do that without the kind of oh no, my business and my building are going to get torn down and gentrified and all this stuff. Those are heavy subjects and they need to be dealt with, but maybe this is not the movie. So,
Yeah, although thinking about it and thinking about my community growing up too, what you're saying really, I feel like resonates with this film is it definitely gets the place right. Like
mm-hmm,
it exists in a place. It
mm-hmm,
doesn't just exist wherever, it's not um, in in some Brooklyn
yeah,
street,
mm-hmm,
Um, in fact, they make a point to say New Jersey. It's now the town is slipping my mind, but
Passaic, yep,
Passaic,
yep,
and the whole movie you start to kind of recognize the locations too because it really just takes place in this block
mm-hmm,
essentially. And I feel like the movie really kind of nails that, and that's a pretty neat, successful thing. And it started to get me thinking about the video stores that were important in my life
mm-hmm,
too. And I think that's kind of a loving thing because this movie does resonate with me on that level. I grew up, you know, I was born late 80s, grew up in the 90s, and the area that I lived, Butte County, California, we had this big chain of video stores called All the Best Video, and there were a bunch of All the Bests scattered about. And actually, I think the last one finally went out of business last year.
oh wow,
Yeah, but they would always kind of like change and go out of business or move. And I have all these fond memories of like going in and buying as they were kind of going out of business, buying the
mm-hmm,
VHSs, buying the DVDs, and things like that. And it was a place where my dad would take me. We would go on a Sunday, get 5 movies for the week. They would have
mm-hmm,
deals like 5 movies for $5,
mm-hmm,
and I would get to pick out one. My dad would pick out five, or four, the other four. But it it felt pretty magical to kind of go and explore, and you know, you wouldn't get to experience the entire movies, but you could look at a little bit of the movie through the covers,
Yeah.
and um, and I feel like that's actually something kind of missing in um, in streaming these days. Is it's actually really hard to browse, and
Hmm.
browsing doesn't have, three dimensions anymore. You're kind of missing different things, and
Yeah,
I
it's lost some of its tactility.
yeah, and I feel like
Mm.
no streaming service has really recaptured that magic. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that it's not possible. I'm just saying that it's a harder problem than I think they've addressed at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are things that I miss, and watching this movie kind of takes me back to that.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, it's similar to a place called Video Stop that was literally just a hole in the wall video store. So where I grew up, there was a road that went over the highway that passed through my town, um, and you would go over that road, over that bridge, and you would go into this nicer part of the town as far as residences go. But there'd be this little shop at the end of that bridge that was in this little business shop area, and the guy, I mean, he probably finally shut it down, but he was just one guy ran the place. It was his part time gig. He worked at the like a garden center at the other part of the day, but I would go in there and I'd shop the. I still remember when he started getting DVDs. Like that's so I grew up in the early '80s, or I was born in the early '80s, grew up in the late '80s and the '90s. So I still remember the switch whenever the stores were like, "Oh, DVDs, cool. I guess we can try to see how this does with the audiences." And so, uh, yeah, watching him slowly kind of work that, like, eventually it was just one shelf in the back, those DVDs,
Mhm.
and the rest of it was still VHS. And at that time, I didn't have a DVD player, so I saw no point of going back there to look. So, but yeah, I would pick up the boxes and I had to look at the back, and I'd like, and I will say the biggest thing, and I don't recall if this was the case, and it's very possible that this is just really bad bout of nostalgia on my part, but I don't recall ever having choice paralysis in a video store like I do with streaming services.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's an interesting thing. I I remember some choice paralysis, but it wasn't. Yeah, I had that same experience in picking music to listen to, or picking music to buy at like Tower Records.
Yeah.
Um, I would be so willing to buy things based on their cover, based on like a feeling I get
Mm-hmm.
just kind of looking at it. Whereas I I definitely, with streaming, I look at a movie, I read the synopsis, I sometimes even have to watch the preview for it
Mm-hmm.
before I'm fully convinced, and I waffle over it. So, I wonder, I haven't ever explored that in my mind. That's an interesting idea, like how kind of the digital format has created more choice paralysis. Now, obviously, there's more choices available,
Of
like,
course.
do I watch Hulu? Do I watch YouTube? Do I
Yeah.
watch TikTok? Do I watch, but yeah, that's interesting.
When I will say the one thing that will verify this is that I never, when I went to a video store, I never came home and did not end up watching a movie.
Yeah.
There are nights when I endlessly flip through streaming services and I end up going to bed not having watched anything.
Yes. I have done that too, and I try to not do that. Like I even like set myself up where I'm like, okay, I feel like this is a bad habit that you're developing,
Mm-hmm.
Jamie.
Yep.
it would be better for you to have watched a movie that you didn't even enjoy that much
Yeah.
than do this. And so I've been, I've noticed that in myself, and I've been trying to work on it. Because you don't get anywhere with that.
Mm-hmm.
you know,
No.
you don't
No.
experience new stories that way. But yeah, I mean, I remember going, having like, so after all the best, those kind of faded away. There was a Hollywood Video in our
Mm-hmm.
town, which was a bigger chain.
We had one of
Um,
those too.
yeah, and right before they went out of business, a couple years before, they started this program that was kind of a lot like Netflix at the time, where you could pay a monthly membership and you could take out 5 movies at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember that was like the high point for me of movie watching. I would get 5 movies and I would watch them in 2 days.
Yeah.
I'd watch them until 2 in the morning, and a lot of times I would fall asleep um, in the middle of one. But yeah, I loved watching movies at that time. That was
Yeah.
great.
Well, even Blockbuster did that. Like towards the end of their life, they
Hmm.
did something similar to that because they saw the writing on the wall. They saw what Netflix was doing and the model they were creating, and they were trying to kind of make their version of that. And I took advantage of it in grad school. I mean,
Yeah,
I would rent. I don't remember what the deal was. I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 movies at a time, like for certain price or something. I don't remember, but I remember I took advantage of it every 3 or 4 days. So,
yeah. Um, Blake, do you remember your first DVD player?
um, funny enough, my first DVD player was a HP computer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I had to watch my first DVD on a computer. So, because my parents were not too keen on getting new technology unless they absolutely had to.
Yeah, that
Um,
was that was kind of similar. Yeah.
yeah, and to be completely fair, like even at the time, I recall the excitement around DVDs being more around it was being new and like not knowing anything about it, and so it was kind of that glitz of like, ooh, this is new and cool and whatnot. But really, at the end of the day, as long as you put a movie in the VCR, I wouldn't have cared. So,
Yeah. Yeah. My first DVD player was a PS2. Our family also didn't have DVD players, but I saved up to buy a PlayStation 2, and that also played DVDs.
nice.
Um, and so, yeah, I was the first person to bring it in.
Do you
Um,
remember your first bought DVD?
no, I don't. I wish I did. I wish I
I have
knew
a,
that.
I have a strong memory of mine. It was The Great Escape. I
Oh,
was I was in a
that's a good one.
big Steve McQueen phase in my early like late high school, early college time. I bought that, and then shortly after that, I bought Seven.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I would watch those movies over and over again.
Blake, what's in the DVD box?
What's in the box? And there were the nice versions too. Remember when DVDs had like all the nice like artwork and stuff? Like they were the like fancy sets.
Yeah.
I remember I got the full on Seven box set, like with the artwork and cool like features and whatnot. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that was like the best thing about DVDs was extra features,
Hmm.
deleted scenes,
Yeah.
um, breaking it up into different chapters so you could easily go back
Hmm.
um, to your scenes. Uh, speaking of speaking of that, did you ever watch Mulholland Drive on DVD?
Um, I don't think so. But I also didn't see Mulholland Drive until about 10 years ago.
Yeah,
So it
okay.
was pretty much like at that point, Blu-ray was pretty much all you
Yeah.
could. I mean, it's not all you could find, but most places you were going to rent it, it was Blu-ray. So
The the first the first release of Mulholland Drive, David Lynch was trying to be so cool and kind of anti technology that
uh,
he just made the whole thing one chapter. And so if you fell asleep like me during movies, you'd fall asleep in the middle and then you'd have to go
find your
through
spot,
you'd have to yeah. And normally that wouldn't be so bad,
but it's
but
Mulholland Drive,
but
and it's
well,
nearly impossible.
yeah, you can't find your spot in that. But also, with the exception of the introduction of chapters, DVD players all had terrible fast forward and rewind
Oh yeah,
functions.
yeah.
That was one thing that VHSs will always
Mhm.
have is the ability to physically rewind
Yeah,
and
yeah,
not just kind of like, skip around and find the right spot in the data. Um, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I feel like this is a good segue into something I want to talk about. Um, and unfortunately, I had to use my own writing as a way to jump off this subject because I don't see this written about anywhere, and I think it's actually one of my more genius moments in my writing, and it's this idea that like in the days of home video technology, we no longer interact with movies the same way because we can always go back and rewatch and uh, check our memory on how a movie goes or how something happens in a movie or something like that. Whereas there is a long period of film history where you saw a movie once or twice in a theater and that was it. And if you wanted to remember the movie again, you had to remember it. And part of me is like, what was it like to remember movies in a way that like because and I bring this up in my piece and it's this idea that like there are numerous cases of where people forget how movies work or how characters act or how what they say and things like that. Casablanca being the prime
Mm,
example. Play it again, Sam. It's what everyone says is in the movie. It's never in the movie. It's never said in the movie. Those exact words. There are versions of it, never that though. And so there's this ongoing feeling that this was in the movie, and before home video, for all most people knew, it was. And my question is that so bad?
mm. Yeah, it's kind of like a Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of misremembering, um, I do want to say, Blake, do you remember that I've read this piece before?
No, I didn't.
Yes, this is the second time that you've sent me this
Son of a
piece.
mother.
You sent me it a couple years ago after you had written it, and I did read it then,
Yeah.
and I read it again, and I
But did you
remembered
remember that it was the one?
I remembered it was the one because
That's hilarious.
you spend a lot of time talking about this experience you had with this movie where a child gets sucked into a pit,
Uh-huh.
um, and that's kind of how you open it. And I had a similar experience with a movie from my childhood where I remember this scene where this monster is fighting like some some piece of construction equipment that's like going on, and it's in my mind, and it's kind of this weird climactic dark scene, and I could never. I completely forgot about the movie, but that scene has always been in my mind,
And
and
have you
that's
ever
how.
been able to find it?
So yes, I did actually
Oh,
find this one.
wow.
It's yeah, it's called the creature from Crater Lake, but it's
Oh,
not. But it's not the Crater Lake that was that. It's not the famous Crater Lake in Oregon. It's a
yeah,
little
okay.
south of that in Susanville or near Susanville, California. There's another Crater Lake, and it was filmed around there. And this actually tracks with my dad, who was very, very loyal to kind of his place. And he
Uh-huh.
would have definitely rented a movie that was filmed, in kind of near Susanville, which is about 2 hours away from us in Northern California. So it definitely, like, as I was reading about it, I was like, oh, this is definitely the movie. But yeah, I had to kind of piece things together,
Hmm.
and I've never watched it again, so I don't actually know if that scene is in there. But
Yeah,
this is definitely the movie that's inspiring this
that's
scene.
inspiring it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and there's I've had a few people that have given me possible, suspects for mine, but I still have yet to find mine. Um, and the sad part is that the description I give is so vague that it could be any number of 80s films, like 80s PG-13 horror film. Um, and so that's the hard part about mine. It's just a very distinct image, but it tracks with the time period. So,
yeah,
uh, but yeah, I don't know. There's something that I am somewhat jealous of my parents and my grandparents' generation of, and I talk about this in the piece. I say that they basically were part of the filmmaking. They got to interact with the film in such a way that I was not able to because of technology. Now I'm not saying it's better. I'm not saying it's worse. I'm just saying that there's something to the enjoyment of a film where you're actually creating your own version of it. And it's everyone's sweeted version of a
yeah,
film. Like, it's this idea that we all have a certain version of the film, and it just happens even today. It's just that we don't give a whole lot of thought to it, probably because we would just turn on the movie again, um, or we would read about it, or something like that. Um, and so it hasn't gone away. It's just that we don't utilize that aspect of our memory and our imagination. And I kind of miss that, or I kind of miss the idea of it. I don't know if that makes sense.
yeah. So I guess what I'm kind of imagining is you have these cultural moments where, okay, Casablanca comes to your town, and then everybody goes and sees it, and then Casablanca goes away from your
Hmm.
town. But the memory stays with the town, and
Yeah.
people talk about it, and the movie kind of lives on in that space and
Hmm.
transforms into something else. And you could still call that like the film because
Yeah.
it's existing, in people's minds, but it's evolving in certain ways, whether
Yeah.
it's, a new line appears or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, today, if someone was to say, "Oh yeah, I saw this great movie, Casablanca," you should go and see it. It has this line played again, Sam. Someone could be like, actually,
Yeah.
it's I have the whole script printed out here.
Yeah, exactly.
Control F, played again, Sam doesn't show up anywhere.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
um, and we have these checks and balances, and I think. Uh, in some ways they're good. In some ways they're good because, we want to know what's real, and
Hmm.
and people are always searching for these things, but a movie isn't always about every piece. It's not about the the light that makes it. It's about more than that.
Hmm.
And those things can be flexible in your mind, and you're allowed to do that. Um, kind of going back to this, like, memories from our childhood. This past week on Twitter, I don't know if you saw, there was this whole investigation, like, everybody got together investigation, where someone posted a picture of their, uh, a family photo from like 1993 or something like that.
Hmm.
And in the background, there was this screen of a TV, and one little, like, elf character, and it was a cartoon. And the question was like, I've been trying to find this movie for 20 years, and no one has been able to identify what it was. And it was this whole big hunt.
That's
Um,
hilarious.
yeah, it's hilarious, and it's interesting, and it was, it was a fun, like, the internet comes together moment. But then at the end of the day, the relief wasn't about, like, what this movie meant to this person at all.
Hmm.
It was just kind of this tension that had built from people not knowing the answer to
Yeah.
this thing, and then being able to answer it, which creates its own sort of narrative and is interesting in itself too. I don't want to take away from that, but yeah, I think we tend to just kind of take from the past, and instead of thinking about how that's affecting us, we just kind of use screens from it to
Hmm.
build other things. And yeah.
Well, and you could almost say that the joy that was had in that Twitter hunt was less about the answer and more about the communal aspect of trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
Like we were
absolutely.
saying, like it's and I think this is a bigger issue than just films or just like nostalgia or memory or anything like that. But it's this idea that, like, no, things are better when you do it with other people. When you
Yeah, yeah.
experience something with other people, it's always going to be better.
Blake,
Even the worst day of your life, if experienced with other people, still better.
like, this is the whole conceit of this podcast too. Like, I told you the first day, I don't have anyone to talk to about these movies. I mean, I force my wife to talk about them sometimes,
But she's like,
but
why?
yeah.
Why?
But no, she's great. She's a great talking companion. But I like movies. I like watching them. I like talking to people about them. And I feel like there was one part of my life where other people were talking to me about movies, and I was talking to people. But yeah, I mean, you get to your 30s, and life gets busy, and you don't talk about movies at work so much anymore, or you know, everybody just kind of gets busy. But yeah, anyway, I've just been enjoying having another person to talk to about these
Oh man,
things. Cause yeah,
same here.
yeah, but
One might
yeah,
even say that has reinvigorated my enjoyment of movies.
I don't want to go that far. I don't.
Well, for me personally,
No,
being
no.
the burnt out film critic that I was, where I came away from most movies being, it was fine.
Yeah, I
Now,
mean,
how do I write 800 words about this when I thought it was fine?
yeah, and I never reached any sort of status of film critic, but I remember I was a pretty early adopter to Letterboxd, but
Hmm.
then at some point I just got tired of rating movies. I was like,
Yeah.
this it felt like I was collecting points, and
Yeah.
that felt like a betrayal of my movie going and what I actually enjoyed about movie going. So
Yeah. Same
so
here.
there were usefulnesses of Letterboxd, and I don't think other people are wrong for using it. It just wasn't for me. But
Yeah.
yeah, so but
Well,
yeah,
and
I like that.
if you use it just to keep track of what you've watched, it almost ends up defeating the point of the site.
Yeah, but
You
again,
could just as easily write it down.
yeah, but again, there there is a community aspect to Letterboxd, and that was something I
Mhm.
never really got into so much. I didn't have you know a, a social group in it, and I think a lot of social medias do have that good side to them where they can bring
Mhm.
people together. But I think with with any other social media site too, there's the obvious dark sides that we all kind of
Yeah.
know about at this point, and we're all kind of aware of, and that shows up with Letterboxd too. But
Oh yeah.
I love your spin on that Twitter hunt that I brought up, and how like it kind of is what you're talking about, where this photo from the show or this movie
Mhm.
becomes this other thing. So the movie lives on in the community
Yeah.
again, the Twitter community. So that's cool.
Mhm. So, do you think that do you think there is a future?
I think the future is going to be far more futuristic than originally predicted.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Is there any are there any movies or is there any music that you think notates that futurism
Uh,
that you're is so much futuristic than what we've imagined?
no, no. That's just one of my favorite lines from Kristen Now in in Southland Tales.
Oh
Um,
man, Southland Tales. It's gonna happen at some point. Just a matter of time.
Yeah, we're gonna watch that movie, and we're gonna have I think we have a special guest for
Oh
that
yeah,
episode.
easily.
So yeah.
We'll either have them on that for that one or the box, one or the other.
Yeah, we should do a double feature. Just
Oh
just make the entire homework section just watching two movies. Two movies that this person is going to hate.
yes, exactly.
All right, all right. Um yeah, so I think I get what you're getting at. Um you also made me read this article about
Yeah.
hauntology, or hauntological things. And
For
Blake,
being as short as it is, did you find it pretty dense?
I didn't think it was that short. I it was like
It's like, holy crap, man, that was not short, man.
that. Yeah, no, I did get through it though. It was good. It was good. Actually, I was surprised. For as much as I feel like you don't love The Shining.
Yeah,
That that
I'm not a
article
fan. Yeah,
talks about The Shining a whole
it
lot.
does. It does, and unfortunately, Shining is kind of a touch point for hauntology. It's
Yeah.
undeniably so.
So
So,
reading this, I realized that I put it together about Caretaker,
yep.
the artist that you recommended, and I have to admit, the Caretaker's music has just been filling our house these past two
Oh,
weeks.
really?
Yeah, Kira's way into it. I mean, so the whole conceit is that this person, Leland uh,
Kirby.
Kirby, yeah,
Hmm.
is it Kirby Leland or Leland Kirby?
It's Leland Kirby.
Okay,
Hmm.
Leland Kirby, yeah. He wanted to create kind of this music, or a whole album's worth of music that could be listened to, or would have been listened to, at the Overlook Hotel in The
Hmm.
Shining. And I think it branched out further than that, but I think all of the albums kind of hold together in a similar way.
Yeah.
And so if you've seen The Shining, this music is definitely creepy in that
Mm-hmm.
way. Even though it's, you know, taken piecemeal, maybe it's not that creepy. It's kind of big bandy and and with a tweaks and stuff. But it's definitely setting the spooky Halloween mood in our
Oh
house.
yeah,
So
that's good. I am happy to hear that.
yeah, so
My
that's
my wife would tell me to shut it off.
well. I've also been filling the airways with more explicitly creepy music. Like you also recommended Anna von Hauswolf
Oh
to me,
yes,
so
I like it.
very doomy organ player.
There's
Um,
nothing more terrifying than doomy organ.
yeah, and then some Woven Hand, which
Oh yeah,
you're not wearing.
I know.
For all the listeners who can see this, you don't have to look now because I'm going to explain it. So you only have to listen. Blake is not wearing his Woven Hand shirt this time. So
It was really an oversight.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, so David
But
Eugene
listeners, I just
Edwards.
want you to remember. I want you to remember this episode as if I was wearing a woven hand shirt.
Yeah, just
Carry it forward.
think of Blake in a Woven Hand shirt, and
There you
then
go.
that'll
Yep,
be the all the editing we need.
that's
So
all the editing.
just in your mind.
Yep.
Yeah, so I've been listening to a lot of that to kind of creepify things. But yeah, getting back to your question, do I think there's a future? Uh, I don't I don't know. I don't know. Uh, the,
Or at least a future that like we can visualize in some way.
yeah, so this article makes an interesting point about that where it talks about how I guess if you think about the 50s and the 60s and even part of the 70s, you had, you had the golden age of the future. You had, the Jetsons type stuff.
Hmm.
You had this view of the future, and then 70s happen and the future doesn't come.
Hmm.
Like you don't get that stuff. And now future and all the sounds and images and things that we created for the future become something, and I like the way the article put it, becomes something like how we can have a font that's gothic.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
and so our whole image of the future is now something in the past, something that we can be nostalgic for,
Yeah.
and so where do you go from there? Uh,
Yeah. It's so part of the so I wrote down a couple of quotes just as a memory device for me, but he talks about the fact that um, the whenever we think of the future or we visualize it or we write music that makes us think of the future or anything like that, it's our capacity to conceive of a world radically different from the one in which we currently live, and that's what he's ultimately saying has died. Because even if you think about the nature of the future films or the utopian films we watch now, there's it's almost dependent on the creators of those films or those TV shows to make them about our day and age. Like we can't even escape our present situation in our future oriented like entertainment. um, so basically this idea that like the future dies. We can't conceive of something beyond our present moment. He talks about The Shining specifically. He says everything in the film, therefore, conspires to blur its official contemporaneity and make it possible for the viewer to receive the narrative as though it were set in some eternal 30s beyond real historical time. That wasn't Shining, it was something else, but basically it's this idea that like if you take away all of the like technology and commodities of a time period out of a movie, you basically stretch out that time period, but it's not specific. So like the movie I think about when I read this stuff is It Follows.
Mm.
He does that exact same thing, he just does it in reverse. So he basically sets up this kind of 90s like Detroit vibe, but then there's these little flourishes like the seashell Kindle
Yeah.
reader or something like that. It's almost like, is this the 90s or is it like the future, or like what's going on here? So he's actually almost reversing what Fisher talks about here, but I mean the effect is the same. Is that it's basically taking us out of time while remaining in a very specific time, and so we're stuck in the past ultimately, and the lack of future is what is being consumed ultimately.
Yeah, I think It Follows is a good touch point for this idea too, because one of the things that I'm always reminded of when I watch It Follows is there are no parents in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there are, you see kind of shadows of them, and there's one really big reveal
Yeah.
of parents at one point, but the parents are really lacking, and the kids aren't yet adults either, too.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like, it's kind of like their future never came.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I definitely get that feeling. And then, yeah, when you point that out too, that's something I always think of is like, is this in the 80s? But
Yeah.
then,
Exactly.
but then, she's reading The Idiot on this Kindle,
Yeah.
shell Kindle thing. Yeah,
It's
I
wild.
it is wild. It is wild.
Yeah. No, I think there's a lot of value to the concept of hauntology. I I'm a little hesitant to go full on cynical, that it can't be done, or that it really is impossible to envision a future beyond the present we now live in. Um, Admittedly, I have not seen something that convinced me yet, but I'm still holding out hope that it's still a possibility. But I think the argument he makes is cogent enough to make you wonder. Um, yeah.
Yeah, he talks about, I guess, and maybe you could check me here, but I felt like his argument wasn't that hauntology is a new thing necessarily,
Mm,
but that it's filling up our art more. So
yeah.
things are getting more and more hauntological. Um, and I kind of wonder too if, kind of going back to when we brought up choice paralysis, um, I think a lot about that, and I think a lot about how the there's for a lot of new things in the world, it seems like the bar is so high, like all of the low-hanging fruit has been taken.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel this way. When I think about new jokes or something like that, Twitter didn't exist when I was creating jokes in my head and telling them to
Yeah.
my family. But you know, I think of a joke. Do I post it? Do I not post it?
Mm-hmm.
And then I post it, and then I realize, like, oh, after I post it, I search Twitter, like, is there a joke similar to this? And I see that, like, oh no, there were like a million different ideas that kind of led to this stupid little joke that I made that have already been existing for, eons of the internet. And so you almost see kind of hauntology creating its way
Yeah.
into like things as simple as making jokes on the internet.
Yeah.
But uh but yeah, I think that I think there's something to that. I also kind of wonder about this idea of how we have kind of a glut of information now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and um and I don't know. I think like I spend so much time watching movies and experiencing things and doing these stories, they almost become a part of my identity.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, something I'm going to create is going to be haunted by these things.
Yeah.
And I almost think this is a consequence of just more stuff out there and how
Yeah.
how we just have so much and too much. And I mean, even like the idea of this podcast, like I was thinking about it and I was like looking, and there's over 4 million podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And in some respect, all it is just these haunted people with all of these experiences saying like my experience is valid. I want to put it into the air.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is it's going to create more hauntings too.
Yeah.
This podcast will eventually be stored in some cloud long after we die.
Yeah.
It's going to be haunting the cloud there.
Mm-hmm.
Probably just a really tiny bit, but
But
but it's
still,
going to be there. And so I think there was a little bit of a cynicism about like hauntology, but I almost feel like maybe what is being observed is just a necessary lemma of of there being so much stuff.
yeah.
It's too many people and the ability to record it all too.
And there's so for people who like to create like us, it's even worse in a lot of ways because we're constantly thinking, has this been done yet? Well, of course it's been done. Like, we know
Yeah.
it's been done. It's out there. There's so much information that we might as well just put that to bed. But we're always searching. We're always like, has someone else done this? Has this been like? Is this a thing?
Just so we're clear, two two white guys have never come together and done a podcast
No,
about movies before.
no, no.
This
This is a
right.
first. This is
This is a
history making
first.
right here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Good. As
and
long.
and two white guys in different parts of the country coming together to make a consistently released podcast. It's
Yeah.
record breaking.
Never been done. This is definitely not haunted by something
No,
prior.
no, not at all. Not at all. Yeah. No, there's a lot that could be talked about with hauntology, but I part of what I enjoy about discussing this is just especially when we talk about Be Kind Rewind, which I think is a lighthearted version of basically what he's talking about. It's there's dark sides to nostalgia. Like, nostalgia is good in a lot of ways, but there's a type of nostalgia, or there's an edge to nostalgia that can be harmful, um, and we see it a lot on Twitter and Facebook, and whenever someone gets cast in a role from some one of the franchises and people don't like it and they want their Luke, or whatever it may be, like that's the nasty side of nostalgia. And But part of me is like, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to mourn the death of VHS stores. Because in some ways, life was a little bit easier. Just a little bit. Not saying it was easy, but it was just a little bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've always kind of been put off by that Star Wars example with I think even like back, we've always had bad toxic Star Wars fans. Even in the 2000s, there was a movie like The People versus George Lucas, and George Lucas was just this terrible, horrible person. And sure, you could make arguments that he made some bad choices with the movies,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think there's anything wrong with people keeping a narrative inside their head that they would prefer.
Yeah.
But I think there's this I don't know, desire, maybe unhealthy desire to have that be right. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that's where you get these toxic fanboys, is they couldn't exist with what they liked about Star Wars and what George Lucas wanted to put out. They
Yeah.
couldn't they both had to be there. They couldn't take this bifurcation of
Yeah.
things and live with it and live within that. And in the end, that's going to happen. And I guess what maybe you were talking about with VHS tapes, or even before that, was people just had to be okay with the fact that they didn't know all of the lines.
Yeah.
That like their memory of Casablanca wasn't going to be 100% right, and that didn't make the movie less great. It
No.
didn't take anything away. Um, there was almost kind of a more communal aspect to things. So,
Well, it's it, and this will be my last note to for me, uh, because we could jump into more deeper areas. But I remember there's a part in Be Kind Rewind where Mia Farrow's character, when they're deciding to make the Fats Waller film, um, they're like, "Oh, but he didn't actually live here," blah blah blah, and they're recognizing all the loose truth
mhm,
that Danny Glover's character had been, explaining about the store itself and whatnot. And Mia Farrow said, "Yeah, he used to stay at my house, like when I was a little kid." Blah blah blah, and you can see it on her face, like this is BS.
mhm,
But she sees the bigger truth going on here. It's not about me. It's not about truth in the moment. It's about creating this coalescence of this
mhm,
neighborhood around something. And there's what I like about that scene is that there's both a danger to that, but there is also a beauty to that. And I
yeah,
think that's the tension that I find myself constantly wanting to ride.
yeah,
Is that I don't think it's necessarily bad to rally around quote unquote untruth unless it becomes problematic.
yeah. And I think untruths, you know, yeah. This is a topic for another podcast. But yeah,
Shit,
you
shit,
know,
son.
uh, there are, there's fiction books are good, and those are not true things.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
fictions are good sometimes, and
Hmm.
then fictions can also be bad, and fictions can be terrible, and they can tear countries apart, and they can tear
Yep.
communities apart. Um, and I think some of it depends on what is trying to be gained from these things
Mm-hmm.
too.
Exactly.
And I think in the end, to save a video store, to preserve the memory of a community enjoying, movies together
Mm-hmm.
is probably a good thing,
Yeah.
worth creating a narrative
Mm-hmm.
over.
Yeah.
To preserve, singular power of presidential figure
Mm-hmm.
is probably a bad thing for a narrative to be created
Thank
over.
thank God that's never happened.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely not still happening right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway. All right. Well, I think we have a little business to take care of.
Yes, we do.
So,
Technically, I think it's Jamison's turn to write. Oh, wait. We're not doing that.
yes.
We're not doing that. Jamison will resume eventually, but we have something special coming up.
Yes. So, we are going to take a break for a little bit. Not that long, actually. So we've been releasing these every 2 weeks, and that's a pretty doable schedule for us. But we are going to take the rest of September off, and then pick back up in spooky season. And we are going to be having an episode a week, kind of, sort of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
episode a
So
week. I'm pretty close. I mean, we're gonna try our best to do an episode a week
I think, yeah,
during October.
yeah.
So put in your calendars. Unless we fail, the first episode of our spooky series is going to be October 3rd.
Hmm.
And we're going to try our hardest to release one every week until Halloween. And our final episode of the series will be on Halloween.
Yeah.
Come hell or high water.
And
And
so,
so, would you like to explain what we're going to do?
yeah. So, a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago at this point, Blake came to me and he wanted to do this idea where we deep dived and explored um, a certain urban legend. Um, and we hadn't picked one at that point. But after some discussion, we kind of landed on the urban legend of Bloody Mary, or rather the Candyman type
Mm,
of urban legend, where there's this sense of you calling out to this person and inviting them into your life somehow. Because I know for me that was actually one that kind of haunted me as a kid, and I think it'll be fun to explore. I don't
mm-hmm.
know if you had similar experiences as a kid, Blake, but
Oh, not so much, but the concept terrifies me.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So
yeah.
so we are going to be watching four movies, and we're going to split these over 5 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the episodes is probably not actually going to be a movie. It'll be just kind of talking about the historical nature of this urban legend and deep diving into
Mm-hmm.
that. But we are going to be watching the second and third Candyman movies. So these
Yes.
are the sequels to the original Candyman, not the Candyman that came out last year. Um,
Farewell to the Flesh and Day of the Dead.
yeah. So Candyman 2, Farewell to the Flesh. Candyman 3, Day of the Dead. So, um, and then we're also going to be watching Urban Legends, Bloody Mary, which,
Yes.
if you're keeping track, that's the third Urban Legends movie.
Which
Um,
neither of us have seen. And I
no,
didn't even know until we were decided to do this that it was even a movie.
yeah. And then we're going to cap it off with a movie called We're All Going to the World's Fair, which is a recent film. It actually came out this year. and it's based on a creepypasta type thing, if you're familiar with that kind of realm of the internet. So it has a very similar, um, you call out to this thing 3 times and you invite it in. So that one I've actually seen. I kind of sprung it on Blake because I thought it
Hey,
was very good. So
I like it.
um, yeah, so those are the movies we're going to be watching in the month of October, and yeah, we're
That is the only movie that either of us has seen. Jameson has not seen the other 3 movies. I have not seen any of the 4. So this will
also
be brand new to all of us.
yeah, fair warning. The first 3, I think we're all pretty convinced that these are not good movies.
Yeah.
So, not that that matters to us,
But
but
there's some strangely good talent behind them.
yeah, but just fair warning to we're dipping into uh, B movies. I don't even know, that third Candyman movie might have been a straight to DVD movie.
It's
I
very possible.
so just a fair warning to some of our listeners.
Mainly Nate.
Yeah, mainly yeah. Nate, you can reach out to me and you can tell me how much you hated these movies if you don't like them, or I'll just give you the Sparks Note versions on them. Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, that is going to be our Halloween series. We're going to make the episode shorter. Uh, we're going to do our damnedest to make it shorter. Because I don't know if you know this, Jameson, but I have a job, and I'm pretty sure you have a job.
Yeah.
And to do a low effort podcast sometimes takes effort, and so we really got to stop that shit.
Yeah. We got to curb the
So
effort.
yeah, the effort's just getting too much for us, and so we really have to like back it up and do shorter episodes, at
Yeah.
least for this coming month. So yeah, we are going to try our best to keep it to about an hour ish per episode during Halloween, and then we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming. Uh, and maybe on the Halloween episode, maybe we'll just tell you on Twitter what Jameson picked. Who knows? Maybe we'll just do a little voice episode and minisode where Jameson announces what he's going to do to me.
Yeah.
Who
So
knows?
yeah, we'll pick back up the regular movie on and off thing back in November, but yeah, at this point I don't know what it's gonna be. So
Yeah. So look forward to that.
yeah. All right. Well, we hope you all have a good uh yeah, good rest of your
Spooky
September.
September.
Spooky September. Enjoy. Bye y'all.
Bye.